The connection between anxiety and creativity reveals something fascinating about our brains. While studies published in Scientific American and the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence show creative people are more susceptible to anxiety and depression, the very traits that make them vulnerable, intuition, sensitivity, and empathy, also provide them with greater resilience. What makes creativity such a powerful tool against anxiety? It all comes down to brain function. Anxiety spirals pull us away from the world, but creative spirals pull us into it. When we engage in creative activities, we activate the spatially and visually oriented right hemisphere of our brain, the part where all the fireworks happen. This activation creates a counterbalance to the anxious rumination that often dominates our thoughts. Negative rumination, that repetitive thinking about distressful situations, is synonymous with anxiety. You can see evidence of this obsessive pattern everywhere online, as people go over and over the things that anger and upset them. But creativity doesn't so much counteract rumination as repurpose it. A chef might spend hours planning a new recipe, a choreographer may listen to music repeatedly while thinking up new moves, or a gardener can mull over the best way to combine crops for days. These creative thought spirals redirect our mental energy toward building something meaningful, rather than amplifying our fears. What's particularly interesting is that you don't need to be a novelist or painter to benefit from this effect. Any three-dimensional work that calls on right hemisphere thinking, like gardening, building, cooking, knitting, or crafting, will activate this anxiety-reducing pathway. The key is engaging in activities that require your spatial and visual thinking. Our society, culture, and economic systems are designed to encourage fear and anxiety, mainly as a way to boost productivity. We're conditioned to believe that to stay productive, we should stay anxious. Within this framework, creativity becomes a disruptive and even revolutionary act, since social norms rely on repetition and cooperation. When we step outside those boundaries through creative expression, it becomes a form of subversion against anxiety-inducing systems. While calming exercises can help tame anxiety, they're only a starting point. Anxiety can't just be ended, it must be replaced. This understanding comes from neuroanatomists who have studied how our brain's hemispheres function differently. The left analytical hemisphere often drives anxiety, while the right creative hemisphere offers an alternative pathway. However, it's important to understand that a creative life isn't necessarily an easy one. Entering a creative flow state, while it can tame anxiety, isn't the route to a tranquil existence. Regularly dedicating hours to a creative project may be the hardest thing you ever do. To get into the blissful state of flow, we often go through moments when we're taxing our skills to the limit. It can be incredibly frustrating, but in a way that leads to growth rather than shutdown. There's a profound quote from the Gnostic Gospels that captures this perfectly. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you. This relates directly to trauma psychology and creative invention. When repressed, the pain from our wounds destroys us. But when expressed, whether in simple conversation or artistic work, these same traumas and secrets can be transformed into wisdom, peace, and beauty. Through consistent creative practice and self-calming techniques, it's possible to rewire the brain. Even very alarming things can begin to appear as interesting possibilities rather than triggers for anxiety. The creative path offers not just temporary relief, but a fundamental shift in how we process our experiences and emotions.